Along the extensive coastlines and abundant waters of maritime Asia, people have developed culinary traditions centered around seafood. When the sea is bountiful, they eat it fresh. In leaner months, they rely on ferments that provide much-needed protein and nutrients, bring life to other dishes, and capture the essence of the sea. On the western edge of the Pacific Ocean, the island nation of Japan. Fresh seafood is right at its doorstep. In fact, the country's love for oceanic flavors is a cornerstone of its cultural identity. While freshness is highly prized, fermented seafood is often also a delicacy. One of the most popular is squid Shiokara. Odawara is a fishing port developed for the rich seas of Kanagawa Prefecture. It's also home to Hayase Kohachi Shoten, a 100-year-old family shop that makes fish and other seafood products, including a ferment known as Shiokara.
35年前、もっと前からイカの足を手で切って、身も全部手でこう切って痛くなるまで。
Shiokara is traditionally made with aquatic catch, most commonly squid, that's rich in vitamin D, protein, and fats. The dish dates back to the 11th century, when locals would ferment different types of seafood to stock up for winter. It was also a valuable protein source in post-war Japan, when food was scarce. Today, it's one of the island's best-known chinmis, or rare tastes. A bold and pungent delicacy that can be somewhat of an acquired taste, even to the native palate. Pacific flying squid, or surume ika, are preferred for their large livers. The guts are skillfully removed from the mantle muscle, taking care not to damage them. And then, skin and cartilage on the flesh come off.
こうハサミのところが美味しいですよね。使うところが美味しいです。だから塩辛もイカは足を使うので足が美味しい。でここの頭びれでこう泳ぐのでここを使うのでここを入れると美味しい。
The squid's flesh and its innards are separately treated in the first part of the ferment. High-quality natural salt is important. Lots and lots of it. Generously salting the flesh creates hurdles to pathogen growth and draws moisture out of it. The liver sac too is salted thoroughly. And then both parts are left to cure in the fridge for 3 days. On the tiny island of Olango, off the coast of Cebu Island, work and play are tied to the water. From the shallows, a uniquely Visayan delicacy is born. Tihi tihi. Among the reef flats and seagrass, fisherman Charlie is searching for one of the ocean's most misunderstood creatures. The spiny sea urchin was once cursed as a pest and routinely tossed overboard as bycatch. Today, its roe is considered a premium treat in countries like Korea, Japan, France, and New Zealand. Tihi, swake, or swaki are the local names for the sea urchin found in the Visayas. It's one of the most famous areas for the species, which has a milky roe that retains a clean taste of the sea. Due to climate change, tihi harvest in Olango has been unstable in recent years. Some days, there are hardly any. Whenever there's a harvest, people rush to eat it fresh, or grilled, sautéed, and dipped with vinegar. Precious surpluses are fermented for future consumption. The local sea urchin commands a hefty price abroad, and the islanders used to export fermented tihi in big batches. Unlike the black sea urchins with sharp needle-like spines, the tihi is much less painful to crack open, revealing glistering strips of orange roe. The edible gonads are scraped off the shells and strained of excess liquid. Salting draws even more moisture out. And alcohol, in this case gin, makes the suspension inhospitable for any unwanted bacteria growth. In its preserved form, tihi tihi is consumed as a side dish or made into a condiment. Combined with onions, tomatoes, and chilies, it finds its place on the flavor profile of a Cebuano meal. A meal that reflects the abundance of natural resources in the Philippines. Back in Odawara, Japan, a batch of fresh squid at the Hayase Kohachi seafood shop has been curing for 3 days. Washed of their salt, the squid flesh and liver are prepped for the second round of fermentation. Smaller chunks means more surface area for microbes to reach its molecules. Removed from the sack, the squid's liver is processed into a smooth paste. The pieces of flesh are soaked in sake to firm them up. And then mixed with the liver paste. Proteases present in squid liver digest mussel proteins. And over several days, the mixture ripens, undergoing a chemical process where proteins are converted into free amino acids. Instead of the common lactic acid bacteria, the dominant microbes here are micrococci and staphylococci. The organic acids they produce give Shiokara its smell and flavor. And after a week, the squid flesh softens and picks up a strong umami taste and a sticky texture. Shiokara is a delicacy in Japan. Served with rice or eaten in bars with sake.
ご飯にも合うし、一度こう箸をつけたら止まらない、美味しいです。
North Island, New Zealand. From the base of Mount Maunganui, a stunning coastline of wide, sandy beaches stretch for as far as the eye can see. Various Maori tribes settled around the ancient volcano they call Mauau in pre-colonial times, relying on its slopes and the sea for their food.
Sure, Uncle.
Yeah.
Do you know where I can get some puha?
Yeah, just over there, across the road. Got some couple of patches over there.
I should have a look.
The ability to harvest food supplies is a cornerstone of Maori culture.
And only just get enough scoop we need for feed.
Yeah. Cut this one.
Combining foraged ingredients from land and sea to produce some truly amazing ferments. Toroi is a fermented seafood dish widely consumed on ceremonial occasions, typically made by coastal tribes and created with whatever seafood and vegetables that are available. Chef Mitchell Tierney serves a pop-up menu of traditional Maori foods around the country. Toroi is one of his classic entrees. The greenshell mussel, or kuku in Maori, is an indigenous species that grows up to 20 centimeters or more in the wild and can sometimes be found amongst the seaweed in shallow water.
It's called the Bay of Plenty because there's a lot of seafood in the area. So I'm from a little place about an hour from here. When we go get mussels, I go with usually an uncle. Yeah, they usually show us the gathering spots. I'm sure like my grandfather passed it down to them, or the uncle passed it down to them. Kind of keeps on going through the generations.
Shellfish are a nutritious food, high in protein and fatty acids. But low in cholesterol and saturated fats. The mussels are parboiled to open them and kill off pathogens.
The first step, get your mussels open. Put it into the jar. They're all quite nice size actually.
The foraged puha, an edible weed, is given a good scrub and then added to the pot.
Puha is a native herb grown in New Zealand. English name for it is sow thistle. A lot of different types of it is found around wild, or some people will farm it, grow it themselves. And it actually holds one of the most amount of nutrients and fibre for a vegetable. So when you use puha, it can be quite bitter. So you do want to rinse it real hard, and it leaks a green colour. You want to make sure all the green comes out before using it.
The boiled ingredients are combined and packed into jars that are filled with vegetable juice. When the mixture has cooled enough, simply pop it in a refrigerator and allow natural fermentation to take place. Over 2 weeks later, enough lactic acid would be produced to render the toroi safe to eat. In Mount Maunganui, Maori chef Mitchell Tierney has a feast planned for his family. A Maori boil-up is the ultimate comfort food and a staple in almost every household. The basic ingredients are meat, root vegetables, and greens. Creating a delicious broth base. It's finished off with some doughboys, batter dropped directly into the hot liquid. And a hearty stew is done. Also on the menu is the toroi that Mitchell brewed some 2 weeks ago. Greenshell mussels fermented with puha, producing a distinct and flavoursome relish. Salty, crunchy and juicy.
Toroi was made because it could stand the test of time. You could have it for quite a long time until it went really bad. It also has some healing properties, create like a penicillin in it. So it can be a home remedy type of dish. You'd usually have it as a delicacy. You just have a small amount of it, especially because a lot of people, it's a little small amount each. If it's a big occasion, have it next to some grilled fish or a raw fish.
Along with some onions and chilies, it's served with a boil-up to help cut through the richness of the stew.
Got some toroi here.
Like many cultures in the world, there's nothing better than the ritual of sharing a meal with family to pass tradition on to the next generation.
When you come to New Zealand and not many people or no one knows what the soul food is, Maori, and I think the soul food of this country is Maori food. I just want to keep feeding it to more people, keep teaching them about it,